We're going to talk about motivation for a hot minute. That thing that they swear comes after you actually start working on the thing and not before. But try telling that to a person who's deep in depression, staring at the current work in progress with all of 0 fucks left, and they will just sigh and go back to binge watching cat videos on YouTube while eating fruit snacks. Don't look at me like that and don't touch my fruit snacks. Though there are many types of motivation, psychologically speaking, we're just going to concern ourselves with 2 types. Extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic motivation comes from an external source and is usually controlled or given by others, like completing work tasks from your boss or doing homework for the students out there. Usually there is some kind of external consequence for completing or not completing these things, like you may get promoted or fired, or you may get a higher or lower grade in school. Meanwhile, intrinsic motivation comes from an internal source, you, in order to fulfill your own personal needs, or just because it makes you happy or feel satisfied in some way. It's not something that you have to do or have to answer to anybody else for. It is purely for your own joy, enjoyment, fulfillment, satisfaction. Our motivation and our beliefs come from alignment with our identity. According to James Clear in his book Atomic Habits, which is a super great book, the ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes part of your identity. It's one thing to say, I'm the type of person who wants this. It's something very different to say, I'm the type of person who is this. So if you want to stop smoking, you don't say, I'm trying to quit smoking, because you're still identifying yourself as a smoker. You're a smoker who needs to quit, right? Instead, you say, I'm not a smoker, as the key thing about non-smokers is that they don't smoke. He goes on to say, true behavior change is identity change. You might start a habit because of motivation, but the only reason you'll stick with one is that it becomes part of your identity. Considering that identity determines belief, if you are to step into a new identity that embodies your core values / your center, what does this new version of you believe about themselves, others, and the world around them? So getting to that, what kinds of things do I believe about myself? I am not going to get canceled. People, not everyone, people will like and support my work. I don't have to murder myself in order to make money. I don't have to make money. Do you see this? I don't need all the things in order to be happy and safe. Okay, what does this person do and what do they not do? This person takes care of themselves and are not a filthy homunculus every day. They are confident in their storytelling and character writing abilities. They do not hoard planners. Oh, they do not burn out. What habits will you need to gain in order to support yourself as you become this new person? Rest. Have fun. You Capricorn. Play. Your inner child is dying right now. Go to bed early. Improve sleep hygiene, please. What skills will you need to develop or hone? Ugh. I feel like I need to be interested in social media, but I don't know. What skills will you... I will need to figure out how to be consistent on YouTube, maybe? I don't know. Is anyone enjoying this video? Hopefully someone out there is getting some value from it, and I'm not just talking to myself in the ether. Figure out consistent and what's the word? Sustainable routines around work and play and taking care of home, kids, and self. I am that person that pours out of my cup until it is empty. And I need to stop doing that because then there's nothing left for anyone. Rewrite your story. The story that has the most hold on your life is the one that you tell yourself every day. And human beings, since the dawn of humanity, have thrived on stories and symbols in order to make sense of themselves and their world. If you want a good book about humanity and humans, you can read Sapiens. Sapiens was a good read. Getting James Clear to back me up again here, because he's my bestie, he says, When you have repeated a story to yourself for years, it's easy to slide into these mental grooves and accept them as a fact. In time, you begin to resist certain actions because that's not who I am. There's this internal pressure to maintain your self-image and behave in a way that is consistent with your beliefs. I should also add that this goes for bad habits as well as good habits. Like, I'm just a messy person. I can't possibly pick up my laundry from the floor. You knew what you were getting into when you married me. Like, that's a common line that we see in couples, right? That's bullshit. I'm just calling that out right now. Let me finish with James Clear, though. There is this internal pressure to maintain your self-image and behave in a way that is consistent with your beliefs. You find whatever way you can to avoid contradicting yourself. We all have those stories we tell ourselves on repeat. Can't keep your house clean? I'm so lazy. Can't find a rewarding relationship? I am unlovable. No one is buying your art? Everyone hates me and I'm the worst. You get the idea. Clear isn't wrong when he mentioned mental grooves. As it turns out, repeated actions, feelings, thoughts, and behaviors physically reinforce the neural pathways in our brains like literal mental grooves, and that results in our brain finding these things much easier to do, and therefore much easier for us to default effortlessly into. And that's exactly what habits are. Our brains use about 20% of our total energy production daily. That's every single day, 20%, your big brain. So they are constantly seeking optimization in order to conserve said energy. And I'm talking calories here. That's your body's energy, right? This can have both good and bad results. See, while our brains are remarkable, they are also the organ equivalent of the dude who figured out that he can play Wii Sports tennis while just laying on the couch and merely flicking his wrist, just so. Instead of, like, moving his body like he's playing real tennis, which was the original intention with Wii Sports. Sometimes those mental grooves become more like ruts we get stuck in, especially when we're talking about bad habits, negative beliefs, or negative self-talk. Since our stories are so intertwined with our identities, we resist even trying to change things because we simply don't believe it's even possible, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you decide that you're just not the kind of person who works out, your brain files that information under garbage and doesn't direct any energy into pursuing it, no matter how much you tell yourself you should work out or how unhappy you are with your health. Belief is everything. If you want a book that goes into this, you can read Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess by Dr. Carolyn Leaf. That was a really great book. If you're here for the book recommendations, welcome. You're in good company. However, there is good news. We are constantly learning, adapting, and changing, physically changing our brains. This changeability is called neuroplasticity. Whenever we learn a new skill or perform a new action, new neural pathways form in our brains. Practice makes better, right? So through repetition, these neural pathways get stronger and stronger. On the flip side, when we cease repeating certain actions or beliefs, the neural pathways weaken. Just like how I forgot how to play the piano because I haven't practiced in about 25 years. Rewiring our brains is completely and realistically possible with dedicated effort, attention, and intention. But you need to show up and put in the work, and that's the hardest part. So whenever people get stuck in their ways, know that it's as much a mental as a physical thing in your brain, but it is possible to change. Like that whole you can't teach an old dog new tricks thing, that's false. Think back now. What can you do today that you were not capable of 10 years ago? So I'm going to write this. So it's 2022. So this is 2012. 5 years ago, 2022. That's 2016. I can math. Can I? No, I can't. Sorry, 2017. 3 years ago, 2019. 1 year ago. This is 2021. I can do that. 6 months ago. That's still 2021, you bitch. This is January. So that's June, right? Think back now. What can you do today that you were not capable of 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 1 year ago, 6 months ago? Use this as evidence that you can change and eject your resistance. Like the Iron Giant, choose who you want to be. If you haven't seen that movie, totally watch it. It's so good. 2012. What can I do today that I was not capable of? Talk about my feelings and my trauma. 2017. Can I do today that I was not capable of 10 years ago? Let go of stuff. We're going to semicolon it. 2019. Bullet journal. 2021. Design planners. Ask important questions. June 2021. Be a witch and own it. Embrace it. What identities which you currently hold are actually holding you back from creating the life that you truly desire? And for this, we are going to go back to, who the hell are you? Here we go. I'm going to highlight what's holding me back. Believing that I'm messy, a slob, a damaged person. I have lazy in here, a planner addict, a hoarder. I'm sure that I have other identities that I have not identified yet. And I find that funny. Let's write down the keywords. We've got damaged. I'm going to say a weirdo because that actually does hold me back. Even though, like, on some level I embrace my weirdness, subconsciously it's still, I think I'm still scared that other people will not accept it. A weirdo. That's probably the biggest one. Messy, slob, hoarder. Even though I'm not like hoarder level 5 or anything, I'm definitely at least level 1. Addict. And I feel like these two are linked right here. Consumer. Oh, that's actually a good identity. Consumer. I am a really good consumer, and that has not always been good for me. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. So in what ways are they holding you back? Believing other people will reject my weirdness keeps me from sharing my creations. I ruined my box. I feel like I'm already in the process of this, letting go of this I am damaged identity, because I've been doing a lot of healing work through therapy and journaling and stuff. So I do feel like this is actually turning more into like I have scars, but I'm strong and I can get through this. But this one, I think, is this one and this one are probably the most damaging. Believing other people will find me weird and reject that keeps me from sharing my creations, and I don't need all the things. I don't need to buy everything. I should probably make this journaling section bigger. Alright, just because our stories have previously served us in childhood does not mean that this is still the case in adulthood. Basically, when we're kids, we form these stories about ourselves, these beliefs about ourselves that help us navigate our home situations, whatever that might look like. And I'm not talking about just childhood trauma. I'm just talking about like, how do you, or did you as a child learn how to get your needs met from your parents? Like, did you learn that if you threw a tantrum, you would get what you want? Or did you learn things like, if I spoke up, I would get beaten? Like, those are very, very, very disparate ends of the spectrum there. But those experiences are real for many people. So the kind of beliefs that you might have formed through those experiences, they deeply ingrain us. And we hold on to this baggage that's not always serving us. So what stories, beliefs, habits, people, and or things no longer align with your core values and this new identity that you are constructing now? What is it that you're okay with letting go of finally? You might have been the family peacemaker as a kid if everybody was always fighting, and you know that can be very draining. Did you have to modify how you behaved in order to make other people happy at the detriment to yourself? And are you still doing that as an adult? And is that draining you? Is it no longer serving you? It's that kind of stuff. And it doesn't have to be a traumatic thing. So I'm going to fill this out. I said I want to let go of this need for the new shiny thing, and also the need for external validation and acceptance of my work / self. When you're making creative work, or maybe it's just me, but I feel like it's very much tied to yourself. as a person. Again, just personally speaking, when I write characters, there's a little bit of me inside every character. And I don't think that is a conscious choice, but it is something that happens. And, you know, if people hate the character, then I feel like I would take that as like they hate me. And I need to be okay with people having opinions, negative opinions about my work. If I'm okay with accepting praise for my work, I need to be okay with accepting criticism, even people shitting on my work. Oh, I have more lines. Habits to let go of. Revenge, bedtime, procrastination. How can you eject these from your life? Or, if this is not possible in totality, like if you are living with a toxic family member or you work for someone who is toxic, etc., at the very least, how can you set up firm boundaries between you and these things so that you are no longer wasting your precious time and energy on them? So for me, I feel like watching a lot of planner videos gets me in the I want to buy planner things mood, so I need to set video rewards and keep a strict budget. Embrace your weirdness. You are not for everyone, and that's okay. But there are people who will love you and your work. Change happens when the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of discomfort of the unknown. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your pain? Just like Baymax. I would probably say about 9, maybe. It's pretty high. What tweaks can you start making to your own stories and beliefs in order to step into becoming this person today? I feel like this should go here. What tweaks? Yep. I feel like sharing my weirdness might help me feel like I am not irredeemably strange. Not that that's a bad thing. Again, it's a very weird cognitive dissonance in my head. In middle and high school, I was a weird kid. I dressed how I wanted. I did what I wanted. I got bullied for it, and I think that's where this cognitive dissonance kind of comes from. But I have to be okay with being true to myself and accept that not everyone is gonna like it, I guess. I also tend to have a dark sense of humor, so I know that is not everyone's cup of tea either. In a species as language dependent as humans are, words have power. There's a reason it's called spelling. Our stories can save us or they can destroy us. Always remember that you are the author of your own story. Transformations don't happen overnight, but given enough time and pressure, even a lump of coal can turn into a diamond. And for this part, welcome to the fuck it list. You've heard of the bucket list. Now make way for the fuck it list. What bullshit can you banish in order to protect your most precious resources, time, and attention? What bullshit am I banishing? That's a good question. Planner clearance sales. Oh, that's sad. Buying everything. Binge watching YouTube. Binge working until I burn out. Ooh, rejecting my own weirdness before anyone else can. Not picking things up off the floor. Not making time for self-care. It's okay to play, and I'm gonna write that in gigantic letters. Alright. So that's it for this installment. I think that I haven't been doing a conclusion or, you know, welcome, but I think I'm gonna make each section its own video. So next time we will go into something else. So if you're somehow still watching this series, thanks, and see you next time. Okay, bye.